So Multitool is, as many of you say, a jack of all trades, master of none. And that's very true. The best tool is the one you have on you. There's no multi-tool out there that will replace a full toolbox and be just as good at it. But I asked you guys what the best single tool on any multi-tool you've ever used is, and some of your answers were pretty surprising and some were a little weird. Also, AKTI explained what would happen if the Federal Switchblade Act were repealed on a state by state level, and a staple knife maker, actually right here in North Carolina, is moving part of its operations overseas. There's that and more in this episode of Deep Cuts. I'm Taylor Martin. Let's do the damn thing. So first up, I want to talk a little bit about some knife canoes. Somebody suggested that I should call it knife news and put a K on it, so that's what we're gonna do. Stealing a page out of Ben's book. Anyway, first up, AKTI, the company you know for kind of laying out and putting the knife laws of the US in layman's terms for all of us who are too stupid to read legalese. They have taken it upon themselves to explain what would happen if the Federal Switchblade Act were repealed on a state-by-state level. So just because it's federally repealed does not mean that on a state level that you're in the clear. So your local laws will actually override the federal law on individual knife laws. So what that means is in certain states like Delaware, Hawaii, California, your knife laws still are kind of specific to your locale. AKTI kind of breaks down what that looks like, and it's probably good if you're in one of those states to know what to look out for. And in that same vein, Knife Rights, who obviously is here to fight for our knife rights or the right to carry and use knives and not be, I don't know, oppressed or whatever you want to call it, they have filed an appeal in California for the California Switchblade Act. Many of you probably already know a switchblade over the blade length of 2 inches is illegal in California. They're fighting that in California, saying that that actually violates the Second Amendment of the Constitution, stating that you have the right to bear arms. So that's an interesting take on that. So what the Ninth Circuit Court in California has done is they have filed for amicus briefs. So what that means is that the court is looking for people who are outside of this legal proceeding, who are not involved with it, and they're looking for clarification on how dangerous and unusual versus in common use weapons should be interpreted after the Bruin decision. That's a really interesting development there, but also like what a weird way to fight a knife law, right? Is to claim that they're a weapon, which I don't think that will set a dangerous precedent, but like taking an expanded view of this, YouTube a few years ago, maybe 6 years ago, changed their terms of service to state, or their community guidelines to state that you could not talk about guns. They changed it to weapons. So they broadened the term from guns to weapons. So now they can say this is a weapon or this is a weapon, and they can apply it kind of however they want. It's a little bit more ambiguous. These two things are very unrelated, but also I see like a world where in a court proceeding, there's a precedent for a knife being considered a weapon so that it can be now protected under the Second Amendment of the Constitution. And then someone like YouTube comes along and says, hey, look, it's a weapon. Knives are weapons now. I don't know. It's a really weird time to be alive. We're fighting for more broad ability to carry whatever we want, and in turn, it might come back to bite us. I'm not a legal expert by any means, like not even close. I am the furthest thing from a legal expert, and I fall asleep when I read legalese. So don't take my opinion on this. I just thought it was a very interesting development that AKTI kind of breaks down what would happen state by state. And then in California, we see this thing where, I don't know, it's a very weird development, but interesting nonetheless. All right, so the last little bit of news comes actually from right here in North Carolina. Spartan Blades, who many of you probably know for the Harsey folder, which is a very nice titanium frame lock American-made knife. They're nice. They're very nice. But Spartan Blades actually wants to expand outside of the US market into European markets, and they are already there. There are dealers overseas who carry Spartan Blades, but the problem is VAT and import fees and tariffs and all of that. So they got pretty clever about how they wanted to do it. They partnered with K-Bar and Czech designer Andrej Nemec, I'm sure I slaughtered his name, and they launched Euro Blade Works, or EBX. And what that means is that they are actually going to be doing some of their manufacturing for Spartan Blades and K-Bar in the Czech Republic, so that it's easier to get a hold of some Spartan Blades and subsequently K-Bar in Europe, which I thought was a pretty interesting development. That's a different path to having a global presence than I think anybody's really taken in the knife space, at least to my knowledge. This says EBX is more than just a distribution hub. It's a full manufacturing and logistics center with machining, grinding, and assembly on site. The goal is to build Spartan blades and K-bar knives closer to European customers, cutting out long shipping times, customs hassles, and VAT costs. For buyers, this means quicker access and potentially lower prices on Spartan and K-bar models in the EU. And for brands, it's a foothold in a lucrative market and a way to compete more aggressively with European makers. The giant question mark is there a market for a $400 or $500 in US dollars knife in Europe? I think so, but it is still kind of an unanswered question. I mean, I don't know how pervasive Shirogorov knives are in Europe, and you also have much more strict knife laws in a lot of European nations. Also kind of an interesting development. So we've come to the point in the show where we need to thank our channel sponsors who make all of this possible. Obviously, I want to thank you guys too, because you do make this possible. I wouldn't be making content if you didn't watch it. So thank you, but also thank you to Worksharp. Thanks for the trip to Oregon. That was amazing. Honestly, almost a bucket list item. It was just so much fun. I think we'll probably do a little bit of a deeper dive on that in a minute, but Worksharp, they make amazing knife sharpeners, obviously, and now they make really nice knives called the RMX. They drop them every Monday at 10 a.m. PST. Be there, don't miss it. They sell out pretty quickly all the time. I also want to thank Big Idea Design. They make amazing titanium tools, they make pens, they make watches, and they make knives. But most recently, they collaborated with Chavez Knives to make a Chavez version of the Fountain EDC. It's really neat. Go check it out. There's a link down below and you can use my coupon code and get 10% off. Just use BDEDC at checkout or just click the link. I also want to thank Blade Binge. If you're not familiar with Blade Binge, they are a secondary marketplace where you can buy, sell, or trade your EDC gear, knives, pins, all of it. You can go there, check it out. I really like to browse the EDC accessories category because there's some really odd stuff in there, like hard to find stuff in there a lot of the time. Like these zirconium smock scales, which have a crosshatch pattern, kind of like the Umnumzan. And it also comes with a titanium clip, looks like Timascus. There's also a kit, an Urban EDC Raylite Pineapple, as well as a Daily Customs Tinker and an Olight O-Pin 2, all as a bundle for 165 bucks. That's a pretty good deal. And Ricky pointed this one out to me, an LT Wright Frontier Valley. So we dropped the Frontier Valley on Carry Commission. They sold out like instantly. Frontier Valleys are hard to come by. 100 bucks for one, even if it's used, is a great deal. So go check out Blade Binge. There's a link down below so you can check it out. Let them know I sent you. Finally, I want to thank Carry Commission. Yes, it's my own company. You should go check it out. We have a lot of cool stuff there. It's a curation of all of my favorite things. We collaborate with some of my favorite people and makers in the space. And first up, after a very, very long wait, we are restocking the Bum Bag XL. A few weeks ago, we restocked the Bum Bag in the smaller size. These just arrived. We're restocking these, or did restock these this week. So hopefully they're still in stock. This is the larger size. It's got hook and loop on the inside. It's got a spare pocket on the back. Go check out the Bum Bag XL. And we're restocking, after like a year, the Lander 2 MMTW. If you don't know what MMTW is, maybe you should go check out the Blade Show Texas pocket check from, I don't know, 2 years ago. Go check it out. It'll be linked down below or somewhere. Lander MMTW. All right, so we were not here last week for Deep Cuts. I'm sorry, I don't like missing weeks, but sometimes it happens. Ricky and I were in Portland, or the Dolls, near Portland, in Oregon, fishing for salmon with Worksharp on a trip called Fish to Camp. It was amazing. It was a lot of fun. Contrary to the reel posted, I did catch more than just a crawdad. In fact, I didn't even catch that crawdad. I caught a fish, and when I turned around, Josh from Worksharp put that crawdad on my monster can, which still had monster in it. So I had to drink some crawdad monster. Really good combo, by the way. But anyway, cue the footage.
Taylor, I loved you in the Lord of the Rings movies. You could have easily just thrown the ring into the volcano, like using the giant eagles, and the movies didn't have to happen, but just saying, just saying.
The last deep cuts at the very end, or actually in the email for the EDC Weekly, I asked you guys a question. What is the best single tool on a multi-tool that you've ever used? So it was a really tough question to frame, and I will get to what brought me to that question in a little bit. Many of you totally misunderstood the question. I was not asking what's the best multi-tool you've ever used. I was asking what is the single best tool on a multi-tool? Meaning, like, what is the tool and what is the multi-tool from which that came? There were a lot of very interesting answers, some that I did not expect at all, and the most popular one, much to my surprise, was scissors. I mean, I use the scissors on my Leatherman a lot, probably more than the knife. Actually, I don't really use the knife on a Leatherman all that much at all because I typically carry a dedicated knife. So the very first answer comes from Tyler Richens. He says, for me, hands down, the scissors on the Leatherman Micro, they are sharp and precise for delicate cuts, but also stout enough to take on zip ties and other hard cuts that I've seen Swiss Army knife scissors struggle with. I find that kind of interesting because I thought the sentiment was that the Micro, like the scissors, for it to be a scissors first multi-tool, weren't all that great. I don't know, I stopped carrying my Micro, but there were a lot of people who suggested the scissors on the Leatherman Micro, so very interesting take. We also have a comment from Rachel Pang. She said, seen lots of comments about the Swiss Army knife scissors, and I have to agree. My one tool to rule them all are the scissors on my Victorinox Climber. Scissors are better suited for certain cutting tasks than a knife, and I find more suited to my urban lifestyle. We also have another one about scissors from JRNJR. The Mat Buster 5000, aka spring open scissors, is the multi-tool tool I use the most. Having a fuzzy dog means getting mats a lot. I love being able to hold the mat with one hand and open the scissors with the other so I don't lose it. For those that don't know, if you cut a mat, cut through the center and pull it apart rather than straight across under it. A straight cut under will make your dog look choppy. I've tried multiple ones and the Swiss Army has not been beaten yet, but I'm still trying new ones. Very interesting and a very specific use case, I think. But yeah, scissors are great. Probably one of my most used tools, but it was not the thing that came to mind for me. Next, we have an answer from mcordy23. He says, hands down, the Micro flathead on the PowerPoint, perfect size for tightening glasses. And he's not the only one. We have John. He says, as someone who wears glasses and sunglasses every day, it's hard to find a good carry for the mini flathead needed to adjust the screws. Recently, I got a SOG PowerPoint thanks to your videos, and I absolutely love having the mini flathead dedicated screwdriver tool. Even though not everybody has to wear prescription glasses like me, most people wear sunglasses, and it's nice to be prepared to adjust them if they get too loose. I totally agree. That and the micro driver on the Leatherman Wave, really good for that. And I think the actual next comment is about that. My one tool to rule them all, this comes from Kurt Smith, is the eyeglass screwdriver on the Leatherman Wave Plus, and this is because I've worn glasses since I have been 2 years old, and that is the tool I use the most to tighten screws and make minor adjustments to my frames. As a father of 2, I tend to cheap out on glasses because I know my toddler and newborn will reach up and grab them, and I don't want to break an expensive pair. The downfall is that the screws on cheap pairs come loose extremely easily. These were not the only 3 that answered this way either. There are so many people that said the micro drivers on the PowerPoint, the Leatherman Wave, and all the other Leathermans that use the micro driver. You know what I use the PowerPoint mini flathead driver for? Unlocking the doors in the house. The little flat key style door locks for interior doors. My kids love to lock them and then run out of the room, and I would always have it in my pocket and unlock the doors, and they're like, how did you do that? PowerPoint micro driver. The next one comes from Robert, and he says, my one tool to rule them all is the wire stripper on my Leatherman Free P2. It works much better than I expected, and since it's always in my pocket, it saves me time grabbing a dedicated wire stripper. I thought that one was very specific too, which is kind of what I was looking for. Some specific use cases where a specific tool on a specific multi-tool just stands out above all the rest. And I'm excited to share mine. We'll get there. We got just a couple more. Baron Bowley says, this is a very niche item, but my one tool to rule them all is a disassembly punch on the Leatherman Mutt. So handy for cleaning weapons after a range day. The Mutt lives in my range bag and is a great piece of gear. And similarly, Nate says my one tool to rule them all is a no-brainer in my opinion. Last year, I had open heart surgery. A few months later, I was at work and had a mini stroke on my way down the stairs to go to lunch. Luckily, I had my signal with me and used the emergency whistle, which alerted my coworkers who called an ambulance. EDC literally saved my life. Thanks, Ricky and Taylor, for continuing to share fantastic content. That's badass. That's really cool. I don't know that if I were having a mini stroke, that I would think, oh, there's a whistle on my Leatherman and I should blow it. Kudos to you. Glad you did. Glad you're still with us. That's a cool ass story. And I guarantee you, Nate, if you share that story with Leatherman, they might put you on a freaking poster in their headquarters because they have a bunch of stories like this that they showcase I don't know what they do with those. I don't know if they share them on their socials. I would send that to Leatherman and let them know that the signal saved your life. We are to the very last one. This comes from Russell Thomas, and this was what I was fishing for. I am so glad that somebody answered with the tool that I had in mind. I'm not saying this tool is better than all the others, but what made me think about this is that there is a tool on a multi-tool that is just so damn good and so much far beyond what all the other similar tools on different multi-tools can do. Russell says, the awl on the Victorinox Swiss Army Farmer X, or Pioneer X, which is the one I like. It's the same tool. It's a total sleeper. I've used it for everything from punching holes in leather to tying a knot in shoelaces. Seriously underrated. I think you meant untying a knot, probably. The story here is that a few weeks ago, we were working on some stuff for Carry Commission or Gaslight Industries, and Art, who works for us, is my wife's uncle. He was like, hey, you've got the drill over there. Do you have any drill bits? I need to drill a hole in this piece of plastic. I said, no, because, you know, brilliant me bought a drill with no drill bits. And I was like, I can run to Lowe's. And then I was like, oh wait, I have a Pioneer X. So the awl on the Pioneer X is actually hooked. So almost every multi-tool you come across has an awl. And everybody's like, what is it used for? I've never used the awl. I use the awl a lot, but specifically the awl on the Pioneer X and the Farmer X is so much better than all the other awls because it has this hook to it. This is what we did. We put these perfectly round holes in the lids of these containers, and it literally looks like I used a drill bit. It's that good. Like, it makes a perfectly round, perfectly circular hole. As you can see, it's got this little hook shape to it. And what that allows you to do is just drill a perfect circle. Watch. It's unbelievable how good it is. Every time, and I'm gonna show you one with my Leatherman here in just a second. Look at that. It's so good. All right, now for the Leatherman. A similar tool, also reamer slash awl. I would say this one's more of a reamer because it doesn't have the hole, but this is the job it does. Like, it works, but look at that compared to that and that. It's just not as good. If you look at that compared to the same tool on a Leatherman, which is a flat tool, it doesn't hook around. It's just this squared shape. This one is a lot more complex. That has to be machined. So when you're using this tool, if you work it in while twisting it, you get a perfectly circular round hole. Whereas if we use the Leatherman and try to do the same thing, sometimes it does okay, but a lot of the time you get this kind of janky hole. It works, but not as good. So Leatherman hole, Victorinox hole. Look how much cleaner one of those is than the other.
That one's not clean, that one's clean.
That's exactly right. Thanks, dude. Which one do you think looks better? That's what I'm saying, dude. So you heard it here first from Flynn. The Swiss Army hole is better.
Yeah.
Can't deny that. Right, Flynn?
Yeah.
All right, our EDC Confessional this week is actually a little bit on brand for what we were just talking about. It comes from Quinn Kilroy Dickens, who notes he has no social media, and he says, I have two. My handkerchief / bandana is my most used and useful item I carry, and I have the largest collection of them out of all of my EDC gear. And the second one is a pretty hot take. I'm not a fan of Spyderco, at all. I gotta say, I don't carry a lot of Spydercos. I don't love or hate them. Like, I like a couple of models of Spydercos, but I'm not like over the moon about them. But where do you guys fall? Spyderco, yay or nay? And thank you for sharing your confession, Kilroy. And if you have a confession or a hot take or something you just want to get off your chest, there's a link down below for a Google form, and you can anonymously or otherwise share your opinions, gear sins, whatever, down below. All right, it's time for show and tell and anything new and interesting that has come across my table in the last few weeks. And first up is this one. I'm pretty hyped on this, honestly. This is the Tactile Knife Company Rockwall skeletonized in the dark wash handle. I really like it. So obviously Tactile rolled out the new larger Rockwall a few months ago. I really liked that a lot. I carried it a good bit. The skeletonized, I had to have one. So it is significantly lighter. I couldn't tell you exactly how much lighter. Maybe we can note that on the screen, possibly. I'm not normally a fan of skeletonized knives. I've wanted a skeletonized Oz Machine Company Roosevelt just because I thought they were really cool. This one also very, very neat, and I like what they've done. Like, they have skeletonized this about as much as you possibly can. I think it's neat. I've not always loved skeletonized. I feel like it's a little bit like sketchy. I had this old Gerber knife that was, the blade was exposed. I don't remember what they're called. There was only one side of the handle, and it was a frame lock, and the blade sat, so it was just two pieces, a blade and a backside handle, and the blade would rotate out. I was always sketched out by that because the blade was exposed, but it was flush against the handle, so there wasn't really any real fear or possible chance for you to get cut with it, but it was just sketchy. And I've felt that way about skeletonized knives a lot, but once you get it in the hand, it's really not as bad as it seems. There is also another one, the Exceed Designs Code Tyrant. There's a skeletonized version that I always wanted of that, but I missed the boat on that. But I didn't on this, so go check out the Tactile Knife Company Rockwall. Oh, and there was something else.
Yeah, dude, and she doesn't even ask me what's in my pocket. Oh, hey, sorry, dude, I gotta call you back. Oh, hey, how's it going? Kind of weird for me to be on here, but I'm gonna talk to you guys today about this guy. This is the Duke 2, and I have two of them here for a very special reason. So this is the production model here, a full DLC coated one with a Magna Cut blade. You probably see these at like Blade HQ or some of the other retailers. What's really cool about this knife is the name. This is a design that Dave Wattenberg did back in 2003, and it's named after his shop dog, Duke, which I thought that was like super cute. Really nice size. I'm a big fan of how this fits in the hand. The action is that typical, really nice and snappy ProTech action. And this gray one here is a Facebook exclusive. So if you're not aware, they have a ProTech enthusiast group over on Facebook. And if you're part of that, you get access to little exclusive drops. So there is a Duke 2 Facebook exclusive. This guy has a mother of pearl button, gray aluminum handles, and a DLC black wash blade. And for size comparison, here is the Runt. I've never owned a Runt, but it's actually quite nice and comfortable for me too. I think I kind of like the bigger size, not gonna lie. I mean, this is still small enough to put in a pouch if that's your thing, but yeah, here's a size comparison between these two. Now this Duke 2, if you are part of the Facebook enthusiast group, will drop Thursday at 10 a.m. PDT or 1 p.m. EST. If you did want to scoop one up, remember you have to be part of the Facebook group. So that is the Duke 2. Oh, and one thing I should mention too, this video is going up on Saturday. The drop is on Thursday. So there is a chance that they might have sold out, and I'm very sorry about that. But I was informed by Matt over at ProTech that they did make sure to make quite a few more of these. So there is more stock. You just have to be quick about it. So make sure you join that ProTech Facebook group. And thank you so much to ProTech for letting us check these out. Back to Taylor. I'm just gonna unpoof myself, I guess.
Gross. All right, now we are to the carry of the week, and I got to give props to Antonio Morales. I don't normally do this because I don't know that I've ever seen somebody's carry so dedicated. Is that the right word? I'm just going to show you. Antonio says, I'm a mailman, so here's what I take to work with me. I will say he did have two separate lists. Not all of this he carries on the clock because I don't think he could carry concealed carry while delivering the mail. So just keep in mind that there's on work and off work. I just forgot where that line was. So first up we have, in the very top, a Carry Commission Wazoo cash belt. He also has a Big Idea Design TPT slide. I don't know what model, but doesn't matter. There's a Big Idea Design Pocket Pro. I'm guessing it's at the bottom in that Garage Built Gear full field notes cover. I'm just guessing because it has a flat top and no click, so it could be another pin. There's a Carry Commission / Wilder Goods Co. Hitchhiker, an Ace of Hanks handkerchief, and then all this next stuff is either Best Damn EDC or Carry Commission minus the Glock 26. So we have Carry Commission JRW Gear Tough Clip, the Urban Carver's Keeper keychain, a ProTech Malibu, which is the black reverse Tonto with the green topo handle. He has the CWF Micro Arcadian Click, which is the flashlight beneath the knife, and then also a Best Damn EDC Topo Zippo in brass. And then finally, this isn't Carry Commission, but there's a Paladin 33 belt bag. My God, dude, thank you for all the support. That is dedication, man. Appreciate it. That's a hell of a carry. all the support that I could ever ask for. So thank you very, very much. If you're watching this and you haven't, go check out Carry Commission, because obviously Antonio has, and you should be more like Antonio. He does have a question. He said, when is that Gaslight Industries lighter coming out? Because that's what is missing in my gear. I answered that last time and I said mid-September, and it is now past mid-September. So soon-ish? Soonish? It's not gonna be next year, Ricky. Fuck you. Yeah, mid-September 2026. We are working on them. We have a lot of them ready to go. We're actually basically waiting on inserts. So stay tuned. Keep yourself posted by following us on Instagram at gaslight.ind. That's all I got. Sorry. All right, finally, what's in my pockets? I'm gonna try to keep this to a minute or less. There's not a lot of gear actually, but I got a few things to talk about. So first up, we have the knife, which I just told you about, so we won't dwell too far. We have the TKC skeletonized rock wall. I did buy myself a new Leatherman. I got the Arc Talos. I could not resist the color. I had to get it, so I bought a Talos. What else we got? I have a Gaslight Industries lighter in my pocket. I'm sorry, Antonio. I really am. I'm truly sorry. We have the same wallet though. I have the Carry Commission Hitchhiker. The pen is the Baseline bolt action from Big Idea Design. And then finally, well, the Wazoo necklace, which is always there, right? Knife sharpener, fire starter necklace. And then finally, this is the thing we're gonna talk about for just a second. I have a new watch. This is the Garmin Fenix 8 Pro AMOLED. My good friend Bo Brown was on that trip, the fish camp trip with us, and he had the Fenix 8 Pro in the 52 millimeter. I believe that sucker is big. I tried it on, I was like, I can't pull that off. But I got the 47. I've had a Garmin Mark and a lot of Garmin Fenixes over the years, and this one had enough new features to where I wanted to upgrade. I'm going backpacking this weekend. This one has Garmin InReach built into it with LTE and satellite support, so that is an extra charge per month. But honestly, like, that is a huge, huge win over my Mark, so it was worth the upgrade. Also, you might notice there's no flashlight here, and that is largely because I'm trying something. Yes, I have talked shit about the flashlight on your phone, and this thing actually has a flashlight built in. So there's a red light flashlight, and then you can also change the brightness with a white flashlight. So I've tested it out. It is not quite as bright as the phone flashlight, but is it more handy to have it strapped to your wrist all the time? I think this is super handy for like backpacking, which I'm gonna be doing this weekend. I just told you that. I will probably do a video on this watch and my thoughts on it and whether I think it is actually worth the $1,200 that I paid for it. Stay tuned for that. All right, last deep cuts, we announced we would be giving away this K9 Jack, which is a collaboration between Carry Commission and Jack Wolf Knives. The winner from last time was Robert Vinide. 5044. He commented following the instructions in the last email I sent out. So congratulations, Robert. You will get this in the mail. Thank you very much. And for the next giveaway, you'll have to stay tuned. We are going to be transitioning into a monthly giveaway. I'd like to make it a little bit more than just a knife every week. So I'm going to put together something that every single month we'll be giving away. Something. Maybe it's a whole carry. I don't know. But we're taking a couple of weeks off. We'll get that started in October. So stay tuned for that. All right, that's it. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Everything we talked about and that is important and you might need to know more about will be linked down below, like all the news stories and all the gear that we talked about. That'll be linked down below. There is an audio-only podcast if you would like to listen to this instead of watching my face. That's it. I'll see you guys in the next video, and until then, carry on. I got this because my good friend Bo Brown. Yes, I have talked shit about the phone on your flashlight on your phone. Wow.